It is currently 6:30 a.m. I've just landed in Athens, Greece, and I'm here for a bit of an adventure.
I think mine's bigger than yours.
Oh, the speed and power. Are you sure you're going to make it in this?
You honked it, Bulgarians?
Look what fell off mine.
Yeah, I think you're losing all of your coolant.
Shut up.
We are being gassed.
Oh no. Oh boy. Yeah, I've made a bit of a purchase, guys. Yeah, so I bought a 1989 Mercedes 200e. Oh, look at him. This is Andrew. He's going to be my co-pilot slash co-host.
Yes, indeed. And another one that doesn't work at the moment, but we'll
remedy that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Andrew and I each bought late 1980s Mercedes for 3,000 euros, and we're taking them on a massive road trip behind the Iron Curtain, driving 2,000 miles from Athens through 9 countries on the way to Berlin. With just 10 days to make this voyage in our aging 35-year-old Mercedes, this is the most ambitious project I've ever undertaken. And you can watch part 1 of this trip over on my car channel, The Middle Lane, today. I'll have links for that in the description. But first, since we're on the tech channel, we need to give my old Mercedes a bit of a technology refresh right after a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Unacademy, your go-to daily language learning practice app. Unacademy makes learning easy, contextualizing language into natural conversation and emphasizing understanding. With simple games like completing sentences or matching phrases like hola, mucho gusto, you can master your understanding of the building blocks of Spanish. It also provides helpful cultural tips to help immerse you in the mannerisms of a language, not just speak it. And plus, it emphasizes, for example, learning Spanish for ordering food at a restaurant, a scenario that you will probably encounter pretty much immediately when immersing yourself in a Spanish-speaking country. This means you can get started with readily available applications quickly. With free lessons daily and an ad-free experience, Unacademy is a powerful tool for expanding your understanding of language and culture. So to learn more, check out the link in the description below. A big thanks to Unacademy for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back to it.
Oh, look at this. He's got the car, phone, and how does he work?
Press that.
Oh, he's very secure.
He's very secure.
Look at this. We've got the...
Then you gotta. There you go.
There we go. We've negotiated him in. Also, this is what Germans thought cup holders
No,
were.
but it's great because you have a bottle of water, as I shall demonstrate, and it's perfect.
Yes, as long as you don't move or go anywhere.
No, or go on a bumpy road, you're fine.
We have seat belts.
Yes.
That's all the safety we need. No airbag. We can't exactly add aftermarket airbags, unfortunately.
No.
But this whole expedition is going to be done on the car channel that I've been working on for a little while. But in getting this car prepped for it, we're going to need quite a bit of tech. So that's what we're up to today.
And I've gotten started already.
Already we've made a huge improvement.
You don't need a new car.
You don't need Apple CarPlay.
You just do that.
You just...
Until your phone overheats.
In 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Look at that 3-pointed star on the nose.
Don't you feel like a dictator already?
Oh, absolutely.
That night, we spent hours prepping for the trip. We picked up Andrew's 1988 Mercedes 200e from the mechanic, and we took both cars to a car wash to make sure they were spick and span.
So this is the big moment. We are getting ready now to set off. Here we have the car all cleaned up and ready to go. We're still gonna need some more technology, I think. It does have a lot of really advanced features for the time. It has dual link rear suspension. That was basically an industry first. It also led the way in a lot of modern safety features, including these really iconic taillights, which are ridged. And the reason for that is to prevent snow from accumulating and make sure that the lights are always visible.
So for 1989, this is actually a very high-tech car, and throughout the road trip, I've been able to appreciate a lot of those features. For example, the windshield wiper on these old Mercs is called the mono wiper. It's a single wiper mechanism that actually extends and retracts as it wipes the window so that you get maximum window coverage without having 2 wiper blades. So 35 years ago, the W124 Mercedes was the highest tech car around. The reason why it basically defined
an entire decade of car design was because they focused on making it aerodynamic. I mean, you look at the W124 E-Class, it looks super boxy, it looks super retro, but it's actually extremely aerodynamic for the time. It has a coefficient of drag of just 0.26. That's pretty impressive. Now, obviously, traveling across all of Europe has required a lot of map directions, and in an old car like this, you don't have anything, literally nothing. But I do what everyone with an old car does, and that is take my phone, open up Google Maps, and just put it on the dashboard in a $5 Amazon mount. And that, you know, it works. It gets the job done. It covers my air vent, but I don't have air conditioning that works, so that doesn't really matter. But there are a couple of problems with that though, and number one is, of course, the battery life. My phone runs out of battery incredibly quickly, which is frustrating. And number two, the screen is very small and very far away, so it's not the most precise thing in the world. So it kind of got me thinking, why don't I use something a little bit bigger? I have a cellular iPad, the new one with the M4 chip, which is much bigger than this tiny iPhone screen. And because of cellular connection, I don't really see a reason why I can't just sort of do a little Tesla dashboard right here. Look at that. Wouldn't that be excellent? So I've come prepared because I bought this. Wow, that's big. A big iPad mount. So theoretically, all we need to do is suction cup this to the windshield and get an eSIM so I can use cellular connection, and then I'll have a Tesla Model 3. And I'm gonna be using a service called Airalo. They were actually a sponsor a couple of months ago, and I've been using them a lot when I travel because it's just really, really easy to use. This is not sponsored by them, I'm just using it because it's good. So we have regional eSIMs here, and we can go to Europe because we're driving quite a bit, and let's just get 5 gigabytes, 20 bucks. And then installing it is super easy. We just hit install eSIM and install, allow, and that's it. I think we're done. So the eSIM is now set up. It seems to be working, very good. And now we can just mount the iPad to the dashboard. Oh, I've made a Model 3. This is a 35-year-old car. And now look, I can even angle it a bit more. Oh yes. Turn off the voice because whoever uses that. That's so good. And now I can just use this like an iPhone, but it's huge, like a Tesla Model 3. Copy the clipboard. I really can't tell if I feel like a genius in a Tesla Model 3 or if I feel like a taxi at the moment, but it's working. There we go. Look at that, it's excellent. Oh, very bumpy here, very bumpy now. Oh, very bumpy. Oh, it's shaking, doing quite a lot of shaking. Settle down, oh dear. Now we've got a nice smooth road and we have a chance to observe the excellence of this system. It's not shaking around as much anymore, and I'll tell you what, it's a lot bigger than putting my phone on the dashboard, and we now have an OLED display. How many cars have OLED sat-nav systems, and we have it in a 1989 Mercedes? Unironically, I do really enjoy using Apple Maps, and I do really enjoy using Apple CarPlay, and this is kind of a little bit of both in an old car. It does make you wonder, why don't more people do this? I could also see like an iPad mini being a great example for this if you have an older car, because then you can sort of suction cup it to the windshield and have something bigger than your phone and also not drain your phone's battery. It's kind of a good idea. Unironically, I mean, it's a bit silly and it bounces around a lot, but that's all right.
The next morning, I was ready to try it out on the road.
Very good. Excellent.
That's not right.
All right, so today we are heading off for Berlin. It's a 4-hour drive, and that gives me a lot of time to get to know the iPad as an Apple CarPlay replacement. Now, ironically, the iPad itself was about a third the cost of what I paid for this entire car, so I hope it's good. And so far it is. I mean, it's a really big screen, it's very easy to read, but I am noticing a couple of minor drawbacks. Number one is that Apple Maps, which is my preferred mapping system of choice, is nowhere near as good in Europe as it is in the US. Yesterday, when we were driving around doing a quick test, it led me the wrong way down a one-way road. So that's not exactly what you want. Today, the other thing that I'm noticing is that the iPad is a lot less accurate in its positioning compared to an iPhone. I guess that probably makes a little bit of sense, but I do have to kind of be aware of where the iPad is taking me. All right, so we've pulled over for gas here, and honestly, the iPad is working really, really well, but there is one problem: battery life. It's been running for a pretty long time here with no air conditioning in this car, and the heat is definitely not helping. We're at 33%. Now, I do have a battery pack here, which I've been using to keep our phones charged, but we did find out something really cool the other day. If we look past our rather fun but non-functional phone here, there's an ashtray in here. Now, this is a real ashtray with a real cigarette lighter. And because of that, we wondered if we could put a cigarette lighter adapter that would allow USB power to run. But unfortunately, we weren't really able to get them to work, so we gave up. But somewhere along the way, in I think Bulgaria, we were at a rest stop and we saw a different kind of adapter. Most cigarette lighter adapters have buttons on the side here, similar to what you find on the end of this one, but these have these bigger metal clip tabs. And so what we found is, if you push that in nicely, we've plugged in a USB-A to C into the 2.1 amp. Oh no, it doesn't reach. Okay, let's try that again, but with a longer cord. And then when I turn to auxiliary power, it's charging. Oh my gosh. Now, it was able to keep my phone charged while I was navigating with that. I'm not sure how it's gonna handle an iPad battery, but I do think it's interesting that this old 80s cigarette lighter is able to power a modern iPad Pro.
Fortunately, I was able to maintain that battery for the rest of the trip, and once we got to Berlin, I could really reflect upon the scale of this project. It was absolutely unlike anything I've ever done before, and I had an absolute blast. So I highly, highly recommend that you guys go check out my car channel, The Middle Lane. I'll have that linked in the description down below. This video was unbelievably fun to work on. Part 1 is out right now. Part 2 is going to be coming out next week. So definitely check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.